Hello, Mariam. How are you? Welcome. Can you hear us?
Hello, Ronald. Hi.
Hi.
So can you hear me? Well?
Perfectly. Very well.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Good day, everyone.
Leo will be here soon as well.
Okay.
And Alice as well.
Hello, Leo. How are you? Can you hear us?
Hi. Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Great. We can hear you too.
And there's Alice. Alice, you here as well?
Yes, I hear you.
Very good. Thanks. So Navina will be here soon.
Hello, Navina. How are you? Welcome. Can you hear us?
Hi, good morning, good afternoon. Yes, I can hear you well. Thank you.
Great.
Can you
Thank
see
you.
me and hear me?
We can hear you very well. I couldn't see you. Let me check again. Oh, yes. I can see you very well too.
Ronnie,
Yes, Cecilia.
please let me know when we are all connected. Thank you.
Yes, I will.
I think we are complete.
Yes. So everybody's there. 1, 2, 3. Cecilia, we can start.
Do we have Julio and Clifford?
Yes, Clifford is there. Julio is there.
No, I lost my video.
But we can hear you very well. Where's Julio? Oh, there's Julio. Cecilia, can you hear me? Oh, there is Cecilia.
Shall we start now?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. Good day, colleagues. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone.
Now we can hear you.
So I will start again. Good day, colleagues. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I would like to welcome you all to our last meeting day of our AC17. And so being our last meeting day, we will do a stock take of the work and talk about a way forward of our work. So today our first agenda item will be the review of the progress made during this meeting. And for that, I would at this point just give a brief update to say that we have had a good exchange with all AC members. And I am pleased about the good observer participation. So the secretariat has kept track of all inputs provided and will, after this meeting, start incorporating them into the draft document for further consideration. Regarding written feedback, we would be pleased if we could receive as much as possible. And so far, we have received comments from, or direct link documents from 4 AC members. And so far, 1 email providing contributions from observers to the ac@unfccc.int email address. I would like to ask observers to please remember to send all your comments, all your inputs to the secretariat within the next 3 weeks, which will be till 17th April. For AC members, I would like to remind you that you are invited to follow a more staggered approach, which leads me to the next item. The next agenda item will be the organization of intersessional work. Under this item is our goal to agree on 2 things.
Cecilia, can you hear us? Can everybody hear Cecilia? No, okay. Hold on a second, please. Thank you. I am pretty sure she needs to re-enter, so stay tuned. It's just a matter of seconds.
Can you hear me now? I've lost the
So, Cecilia, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. We can hear you again.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would like to go back a little bit to say that we will talk about our second agenda item, which is the organization of intersessional work. And under this item is our goal to agree on 2 things. The first is the update list of AC members who agreed to participate in working groups or lead the intersessional work on specific agenda items, along with the co-chairs of doing part of this work. Also, if AC members would like to serve as the nominees to liaise with other constituted bodies on their matters relating to adaptation. The second will be the timeline for the intersessional work. Let us start with the list of volunteers. And I would like to invite the secretariat to please share with us on screen the list of volunteers. The secretariat, please. Wow. Okay.
Is it big enough?
Yes, we all can see, I think. Okay, we have there on the NAP task force, which is we have the co-leads, which is Cecilia and Navina. May I continue, Ronnie? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, yes, please, Cecilia, you can continue. We can hear you very well.
Okay, colleagues, we have the list on screen. This list, we're counting with members. Some of them maybe not there anymore. I was, for example, on the NAP task force co-leading with Navina the work. So I would like to suggest one non-annexed one to replace me if possible. So we have Clifford, Vladimir, and Mariam as AC members. We also have non-AC members being part of this task force. Mohammed Naz from the Standing Committee on Finance, the Tech Spending, the LEG, we have Hannah, which is the chair of the LEG, Adaptation Fund, the JEF, and the GCF. Can we go a bit up, please? For the tech pay, we have Alice leading. We have AC members, Julio, Irina, Liu, and Mariam. For non-AC members, we have representative from observers. Going down to issues leading for AC work in 2020. Advice to the Nairobi Work Program, we still not have any volunteer. For this case and other cases pending no volunteers, we would like to ask AC members to please volunteer to do this work. For the global goal on adaptation, we see that we have now a huge group. Both co-chairs, Pilar, Clifford, Mariam, Alice, Daniel, Funi, and Navina. I think for this group, we will have to create some balance, but I will leave it for the AC consideration. Can we go a bit up, please? More? Okay. Okay. For adaptation communication, we have Pilar, Alice, Funi, and Navina. Navina offered to lead this group. For methodologies for assessing adaptation needs, we have Daniel, Funi, and Navina. For recognition of adaptation efforts, we have Daniel, Irina, Funi, Mariam, and Navina. For adequacy and effectiveness, we have Daniel, Funi, Mariam, and Navina as well. Thank you, Navina, for volunteering for many groups. For adequacy for global stock take now, we have Pilar and Daniel. For data for adaptation, we have Vladimir, Irina, and Navina. For capacity gaps to access funding, we have Daniel and Navina, and updated communications plan. We have only Daniel. If someone can volunteer, or more members can volunteer to support Daniel in this work. For the liaisons with other constituted body, I am or used to be, don't know, the liaison for the AC with the LEG work. I would also like the secretariat to, based on the rules and procedures, confirm to us if co-chairs can still do this work, or we have to leave this place for members. For the overall AC and Standing Committee on Finance, we have liaising this, Navina, Mariam, and Funi. And going a bit up, we have Clifford for the Tech Task Force. If other members can join Clifford, please. And the same will be for Kazim on CTCN, for Liu on the EXCOM, and for Kazim also on the Paris Committee. For the NAP Expo, Cecilia, Julio, and Navina. And for gender focal point, we still need a focal point, and we have Julio as a backup. I believe the list is at the end, if I'm not mistaken. If the list is at the end, I leave it on the for the AC members to comment on that, please. The floor is open. Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Yes.
Yes, we
Thank
can
you.
hear you.
Oh, I cannot see from here if there are asking.
So far,
see Julio,
Navina.
Navina. Navina, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. I have maybe, Ronald, if you might go to the top of the document. I just have some remarks. I think for the NAP task force, this is a mandated task force, and I took the co-lead because Meredith left, so I will be starting that role. By the same token, someone from the colleagues, Annex 1 colleagues, would have to replace me as one of the AC members in the list below where Clifford, Vladimir, and Mariam are. Mariam is replacing Kulsum, but there's a place missing for the replacement of me. So if anybody wants to take that up, please do communicate it. Then I just wanted to remark, I have put my name with the parentheses if needed, understanding that in the past year we had a bit of shortage in the ability of people to work intersessionally due to the many processes that we had. And here, I think if we can divide the groups in a more balanced way, that my name is not overall, but rather in lesser things and gives a space to new members also to engage, I will be very happy to remove my name from those slots where it says if needed. But at the same time, one remark on two other things. I think on the issue of global goal and adaptation, I think we're way too many people. You have already indicated that we will discuss this further. Here we had groups in the past working with 5 members. So in case that members will be open to going that way of just limiting it to the co-chairs plus 3 members, I would offer to remove myself from that group, although I find the topic extremely interesting. But it might be more efficient that at the level of members that we have right now. I'm not quite sure whether it makes sense to have a group, otherwise we can just leave it open. In case that nobody's willing to remove themselves from the group, of course, I would also stay because I find the topic extremely interesting. And just for the liaison persons, I have a question. Ronald, if you might go to the liaison people's part. We have liaisons for several things. My understanding was that for issues as tech, CTCN, etc., we had only 1 person. I think your suggestion, co-chair, of having a backup person is great. That will ensure that when people are limited to attend those meetings, someone else can jump in and is working in tandem. For the overall AC SCF liaison, where we're working together there, I was doing this task together with Kulsum. The idea here, if I remember correctly, was that we have 1 person from non-annex and 1 person from annex representing. So here, it's more of a question, what's the idea now with the tandems and the way forward? Will we have the backups always in this manner, or are we just mixing them up? And just to have some clarity of what the co-chairs have thought on this.
Thank you, Navina. Thank you. I don't see asking for the floor, but I see Julio proposing to volunteer for the Night of Work program. I also see Pilar to be a backup of you for,
Correct. She's already entered in.
okay. Yes, for the XCOM task force. And I don't see any other asking for the floor. Navina, thank you very much. You mentioned on the GGA, we are becoming a big group, and I agree that if we have many, so the work will not move forward, and maybe we should um, see again how we maintain this group, how many members, and it's important, of course, to create balance. Um, I see Liu saying that she would like to join data. And Clifford, you have the floor, please.
Morning. Good day, everyone. Thank you, co-chair. Okay, you can. I am willing to give up my place on the global goal and adaptation, and you can put me to on gender. So you can move me from the GCCA, and I'll do the gender, if that's okay.
Thank you, Clifford. Thank you for helping us on that and to be flexible enough. Does any AC member has another feedback to provide? Of course, we can still provide our inputs in written to the document, and then we will circulate. Daniel, I see you asking for the floor. You have the floor, Daniel. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Just wanted to, I can hear some feedback. I don't know, is that okay? Just want to put my name forward for the AC nominee to the XCOM, the task force. Happy to support Lou in that effort.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I see here Liu also proposing to be the backup for Julio on Nairobi work program. Thank you, Liu.
Cecilia, I also
Yes.
have an input from Pilar. She could be removed from the TFD task force, and because
Okay.
we don't need 3 there, she says.
All right. Thank you, Pilar. Any other member would like to provide input, so to volunteer? I would very much like and ask members that this is important, that we volunteer to be part of groups, to liaise also with other constituted body in order for us to take our work forward, because co-chairs and the secretariat cannot do everything. You are very much important on the tasks. Please volunteer, members, and as we are not doing our presential meeting, it is important that all of us take some responsibility for the intersessional work so that we can fulfill our tasks. Thank you. I see Pilar. Could we please see the list of groups again? Yes, Pilar. Ronnie, can we? Yes, from the start. There we have NAP task force. The thing is, Ronnie, can you stop there on the NAP task force? For me, it's important to remind members that co-chairs are part of every group. So I'm still as a co-lead on NAP task force. I used to be before being a co-chair. So I think I would have to take my name from leading, and it doesn't mean I will not be helping on work, because co-chairs are part of all work that is undertaken. So it means for the NAP task force, we will need one other co-leader to help Navina. Ronnie, could you take my name from co-lead on the NAP task force? I see Cliff saying we have to be on the tech.
Pardon me, co-chair, I didn't get that. Did you say Cliff?
Happy to be backup for Cliff to the tech. That's what I received.
Cecilia,
Okay.
that's me. That's Julio.
Ah,
Julio.
that's Julio. Okay, thank you, Julio. Thank you, Julio. Mariam said it's possible to minimize the document a bit. Can we minimize the document a bit? I think Mariam can't see well the full document.
Cecilia, Julio
Yes.
as backup is not for the tech, but for the gender.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's not for the tech, but it backed me up with respect to gender. So I would lead on the gender, and he would be the backup.
And he will be your backup.
But not for
Okay.
the tech.
And Cecilia,
Okay,
Cecilia, we also have Funi willing to support the gender team.
Yes, please, you can add Ronnie. And also, Kazim, I think it's Alessandra would be happy to back up Kazim on CTCM. Kazim, you are asking for the floor? If yes, please, you have the floor. Kazim, can you hear me? Mariam is also asking to back up Kazim on PCCB. I hope I didn't miss no one, because I see it in a very small window.
Now we should be able to look.
Cecilia,
Yes,
Cecilia, can you hear me?
yes,
Hear me?
Kazim, please go ahead, you have the floor.
Yes. I'm interested for the backup of the tech task force with Cliff.
Thank you very much, Kazim, well noted.
Yes.
Navina, did you ask for the floor again, or I'm mistaken? This exercise is not being easy by far. Navina, can you hear me?
Yes, co-chair.
Okay.
Co-chair.
Did you ask for the floor again, Navina?
Yes, please. Sorry for coming.
Please, you have the floor. Please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, co-chair. I'm just a bit unsure the direction we're going now in, because it seems to me that we're moving away from having focal points for cross-cutting issues and starting to do something that seems to me like a creation of new groups for the cross-cutting issues. And I don't know, I felt like last year we came to the conclusion that most of the members were involved in many groups, leading to most of the members being limited in their full involvement in those groups that they were represented. And here the two co-chairs last year suggested as a way forward to try to have less people involved in the groups, and consequently they will have more time to contribute to those groups. So I'm a bit unsure right now that by creating focal points with several members, that we are investing the resources in the best way. In case that members feel that they have those capacities, of course, please ignore my remarks. But I just wanted to highlight the situation we had last year and how we were trying to make work more efficient. I'm starting to get worried by the number of names that are coming into the topics, and not sure that this will materialize as intended. And a small remark for the point 1 in the NAP task force on non-AC members for the Standing Committee of Finance. Our colleague Vicky from from Belgium is replacing Peter Tepsta on the first page, on the first.
It is the first page.
Next to
task force.
SCF, Mohammed from Egypt is a liaison person, and for developing countries, and Vicky from Belgium for developed countries. In case that supports the secretariat in gathering the new information as Peter left. Thank you, Cecilia, for letting me come in again.
No, please, it's a good exercise we have to do. Thank you, Navina.
Sorry, just to quickly step in, because we got that information from the standing committee and we haven't received that nomination officially yet. So that's why we haven't put it there yet.
Thank you for the clarification, Annette. I see. Can we go move to second page? Pilar is asking for us to move to second page, please. I'm sorry. Who is Raja? Is Kazim or Naeem?
It's Naeem.
Naeem is proposing to be the backup on gender focal point. And then please we go back to the second page of groups. Thank you, Pilar. There we are. Pilar?
Yes, thank you, Cecilia. It was just, I wanted to see which were the groups I were involved in, and since you gave me the floor, just one quick question. Are we seeking for leaders in all groups, or it's something that we will reflect on after the meeting? Are the leaders just one person or a couple of annex and non-annex? What are we looking for here? Just that. Thanks.
Thank you, Pilar. I believe the idea is to create some balance, but also we are aware that members volunteer for those to be part of the groups or to develop a role in a group. If members does not volunteer, so we cannot push for members to do that. So we will face situations where we have in a group 3 or 2 annex 1 or non-annex 1 and one from the other group of countries. So then we have an unbalanced situation that we have to solve. But for that to happen, it is important that members volunteer for the groups, because as co-chairs, we cannot impose it. So,
Chair, can I just?
Yes, Clifford, please, you have.
Sorry to interrupt and come back, but I haven't seen the adaptation forum task force. Is it that there'll be a decision not to consider
Yes,
the
you are
forum
right.
this time?
Secretariat, can you show us on the list the adaptation forum? I used to be the coordinator or the lead of the group.
Co-chair, if I may add, this is Annette from the Secretariat. We haven't added the list here because for this year, everything related to the adaptation forum had been decided at the last AC meeting. So there wasn't any follow-up for this year, hence we didn't add it, but we're happy to add it. But just also going back to what Navina had said, we put groups together for those items for which intersessional work is needed. In terms of some of the focal points in the past, we had cases where the main focal point could not deliver, could not attend meetings, but also the backup couldn't do it. So having one, ideally 2 backups would be good. And of course, given that we're working under different circumstances, it's good to have the number of people on the group. Once we have finished the discussion, we will share the list with AC members for any other developments there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Annette, for the clarification. And it's important to remember that this list will be circulated by all members, and then we will still have like opportunity to add or to volunteer to continue working. If there is no other asking for the floor and contributions for the list now, I will thank you all for the exercise we have just done. But as I said, we can still express interest by email after the meeting. But it is important to say that in the meantime, co-chairs will advance the work with the secretariat for those groups that we don't have a lead or we did not decide yet. If AC agrees, I would like to move to the other aspect, which is the timeline. Okay, thank you very much. So now we will move to the timelines. Are there any specific comments, or should we display the document on screen? That's for members. Are you comfortable like this, not having the document on the screen? Please display. Okay. Can we display the document on screen, please? Secretariat. Thank you. Thank you, Annette. Thank you. As I said in the beginning, we will have to agree on the timeline for our intersessional work with the thematic focus weeks and clear cut-off dates. So I would like the AC, thank you, Ronnie, the AC to comment on the timelines we are presenting here on the screen. Thank you. Reminding the goals we have with this intersessional work, we have to be able to present an updated information to parties during SB 52, which is scheduled to June if things get better and the SB session in June take place, on the progress made in addressing the CMA mandates. AC members, is there any clarification you would like to have on the timelines presented? I can't see from here if, okay, I have the list here. I don't see no one asking for the floor. Okay, I have Navina. Navina, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Cecilia. I have a clarification in terms of, I was a bit puzzled with the colors and the boxes and what everything means. So here I was just wondering if we can still have this in the collaborative space. I noticed today when I tried to make changes, the document was closed. I think we need to have some sort of discussion. You mentioned now that we have to report at the SB 52 where we are with our work, and I feel like for this it will be good to have an idea of which parts of our work we want to report on, and if we perhaps want to have conversations that we have had not the time to have. But for instance, trying to analyze for us members what went wrong, because we spent a lot of hours in our last AC meeting. And while I was not in the second week of the COP, so I don't have the gist of what happened there. But I do think that many here in this room were there, and we're also there in both areas, so we can have a conversation trying to understand how do we go about certain things, how do we go about certain modalities of work, and based on that, we try to have a better idea of what is also realistic. Last time, maybe we have had a lot of pressure of doing things not in the best way due to time pressure. I'm not sure working with time pressure will be the best way on the way forward. And I understand that we want to show something good at DESVIS, and I think our work in general is very good. But our work, as I see, is good because we base it on examples from the ground, on academic examples, etc. And I don't think that by trying to create an unnecessary time pressure looking at this schedule, we're gonna get there. So I would like us as members to have more time than what we have right now to look at this table and see how to move forward, if I'm being completely honest. Otherwise, I fear we will have a very similar situation to what happened last time.
Thank you, Navina, well noted. I see Alice, Alice, you were flagging. Thank you for asking for the floor, Alice, please, you have it.
Thank you. Perhaps it would be useful, thank you for presenting this. I mean, it all makes sense. I think it makes sense, and it's a good schedule. It's a bit, it's a lot to digest right now, but once we get our head around it, we will. But I just thought perhaps according to the information I've received here domestically, the Bureau will decide next week on whether to go on with the next SIPSTA. So perhaps we should put a milestone or something, a touch base here on round 6 in the beginning of April or something like that, to see what kind of need we will have to adjust the schedule. So the stock taking, which is now in May, perhaps we should put this forward, if it makes sense to others. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. I was hearing with a bit of difficulty, but if Secretariat took note of the proposal from Alice and others could hear, if you have any comment on that, please, you have the floor. Mariam, you have the floor.
Thank you, Co-Chair, for giving me the floor. And can we go up a little bit with the document? I would like to see the timelines again to be able to comment. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for putting this together. And I would like to join Alice and Navina. I'm also a little bit puzzled, still trying to get my head around it. But what I understood, I hope it's correct, that the yellow blocks, these are like the time when we will focus on working on those documents, and the Secretariat. So is this the time to provide comments, and then the Secretariat and the co-leads will try to advance the work as much as possible? Or I'm a little bit puzzled, because my understanding is that the yellow and the white blocks until the orange one, that's when the documents will be open for comments. But I don't know, is the yellow time, that's when we focus, but like when will the co-leads and the Secretariat take the work forward if we'll be providing comments throughout those blocks until like 4th of May? I'm a little bit puzzled, to be honest. And the other thing, as Navina has mentioned, what will be the modality to provide the comments and input? Will the AC collaboration space be still open? And I was also about to mention the same issue raised by Alice, the bureau meeting on April. So yes, I'm pretty much in favor of having some kind of touch up in the first week of April to decide on the way forward. Thank you so much. That's my comment for now.
Thank you very much, Mariam. Yes, based and Navina's comments and yours, I would invite the secretariat to please provide some clarification, and they will be happy to do that. Thank you. Ina, please, can you or Annette provide clarifications on the document?
Yes, thank you very much. We're happy to provide some clarification. First of all, the documents will be open all the time. We are not planning to close the collaboration space, and anybody can send comments throughout basically until the next AC meeting. The idea is though that it might make sense to have focused work weeks, so not all the documents are worked at all the times by everybody. So these 2 weeks, the plan is that AC members focus on certain documents during these weeks and provide concrete comments, so that the leads of these items can bring the work forward together with the co-chairs and the secretariat until the next meeting. There will be updates provided. The idea would be, as they are 2-week blocks, there would be an update also for people who cannot access the collaboration space at the end of the first week, so everybody knows where the work is, which inputs the leads and the secretariat have received. This will be shared with all of the Adaptation Committee, and then the leads continue working on the document as usual. And whenever a new version is available, this will be shared with everybody.
Thank you very much, Ina. Navina, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Cecilia. Maybe a follow-up question. Thank you, Ina, for the clarification. Could you provide us some clarity as to whether this stock take at the SB 52, provided the SB 52 takes place, foresees presentation of the draft, or just providing an update verbally of the work that the AC has been doing and what is expected for AC 18? Which modality is foreseen for this stock take?
Thank you very much, Navina. Please go ahead, Annette.
Thank you. At this point, we suggest, given that there is some uncertainty surrounding the SBs, we would like to note that there is a planned virtual bureau meeting next week on Wednesday, after which there will be clarity on the SBs. And once that clarity is there, we would suggest to revisit that point of the stock take, and then depending on the decision of the Bureau, to adjust the plans of the AC accordingly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Annette, for clarification. We are depending on the result of the meeting, deciding if there will be the June session or not. I see no more asking for the floor. If the AC agrees, can we move forward? I see Mariam. Mariam, please, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Annette, for this clarification. But may I also suggest that we keep the timeline document also open for some adjustments in terms of the deadlines or time blocks allocated for that touch up that we will have after the bureau meeting, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. Okay, the schedule will be revisited after bureau meeting in April. And again, in June to plan for the second half of the year. So the document will still open for all members' contributions, and of course will be updated if needed. I see no more requests for the floor. I see. No, Mariam is just thanking us. Should we move forward? So if there are no more aspects now to be considered in this agenda item, I would like to thank you all for the whole contribution that were given to the agenda items. And I will hand over to my co-chair, Alessandra, to take us to the next agenda item. Thank you very much. Alessandra, the floor is yours. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Cecilia, and thank you, colleagues, for the discussion this afternoon. And thanks also, of course, to the Secretary for providing clarifications on the questions that were raised. We now move to the next item on our agenda, which is a decision on the dates of the future meetings of the Adaptation Committee. Traditionally, at the end of each meeting, we do agree tentatively on when we will meet next. In deciding when to meet, we might wish to take into account that the next session of the SBs are currently scheduled for the first 2 weeks of June, from the 1st to the 11th of June in Bonn. And the COP in Glasgow is scheduled to take place in November from the 9th to the 20th, which is quite early. In order for us to have enough time to prepare an annual report for the COP, AC18 should also take place a little earlier than we normally have the second meeting in the year. So the Secretariat, and thank you very much, looked at the availability of adequate meeting rooms for us in the UN premises in Bonn for the second half of August to early September. And they found that an adequate room would be available for us for a 4-day meeting from 25th to 28th of August 2020. Of course, this proposal depends on how the global developments go in relation to COVID-19 and the outcomes of the discussions around the negotiation sessions. Would the AC agree to accept these dates as preliminary dates for its 18th meetings? I would invite AC members to provide their views on the proposal for the next meeting of the Adaptation Committee. So the dates for the AC 18th as proposed would be from the 25th, 25 to 28 August 2020. Pending, of course, the developments on the COVID epidemics. I think I see some okays and some noddings, so I think we can agree to keep these tentative dates for our next meeting, 25 to 28 August 2020, and we will come back to this issue once we have more clarity about the situation. With that, I would like to move to the next item on our agenda, any other matters. Are there any matters that the Adaptation Committee members would like to raise at this point? I see, Mariam, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Co-Chair, for giving me the floor. And I don't have a specific matter that I would like to raise, but I would just put it on record that I would like to thank the Secretariat for their prompt and swift action in making alternative arrangements. I'm glad everybody could be there despite the challenges. Speaking for myself, I've had a range of challenges that I'm even stranded, happily with family, but somewhere I couldn't reach either of my homes in Germany or the US. I'm very happy to be here, and they have supported me in every possible way. So thank you so much for that. And I would just like to emphasize that we need to have a physical AC meeting, the next one. Nobody knows how the COVID-19 issue will unfold, hopefully for the best. Hopefully everything and everybody will be safe by that time. But I would just like to emphasize the need to have an AC physical meeting after this one. I'd like also to thank the Secretariat for the amount of effort and the documents that they have prepared. It's a lot of work. However, some documents were shared with us just a couple of days before the meeting. And of course, I would have personally, and I think other members might join me in that we needed a little more time to digest some of those documents and to be able to give like thorough comments on them throughout the meeting. But the good side is we have the AC collaboration space and we're still able to engage on those documents. So that's all I want to say for now. And I wish everybody stays safe and healthy, and see you in the next AC meeting, if not earlier, hopefully in the SBs.
Thank you very much, Mariam, and I'm sure that everyone else will also agree with me in thanking the Secretariat for the wonderful arrangements they've made for this virtual meeting, and I'm sure we all had challenges. Yeah, thank you. But thanks God that things worked quite well, I believe. If there are no other matters, we can move to the final item on our agenda, which is the closure of this meeting. So this brings us to the end. As it's usual practice, I'll read out a summary of the outcomes of this meeting, on which we will then close our discussions for the AC17. So we started by adopting the agenda. So the agenda was adopted as presented. The Adaptation Committee elected the co-chairs, and it elected Cecilia da Silva Bernardo from Angola and myself, Alessandra Sgobbi from Italy, as its co-chairs. On item 4, organization of work, the Adaptation Committee agreed on the organization of work and launched all substantive items. The following substantive items were discussed during the teleconference slots. Item 6, addressing mandates from the CMA. 6A, global goal on adaptation. 6B, adaptation communications. 6C, methodologies for assessing adaptation needs with a view to assisting developing countries. 6D, modalities for recognizing the adaptation efforts of developing country parties. 6F, information collection and preparation for the global stocktake. Item 8, technical support and guidance to the parties on adaptation action. 8C, data for short, medium, and long-term adaptation. The following outcome is noted for each of them. The Adaptation Committee and observers exchanged views, and AC members agreed to continue working the intersessional period as per the timeline that we discussed. Observers are invited to send comments to ac@unfccc.int by the 17th of April. The following substantive items were launched but not discussed during the teleconference slots. Item 6, addressing mandates from the CMA. 6E, methodologies for reviewing the adequacy and effectiveness of adaptation and support. Item 5, promoting overarching coherence. 5B, advice to the Nairobi Work Programme. Item 8, technical support and guidance to the parties on adaptation action. 8A, work of the Adaptation Committee Task Force on National Adaptation Plans, work on gaps and needs. Item 9, technical support and guidance to the parties on means of implementation. 9B, capacity gaps in accessing adaptation funding. Item 10, awareness raising, outreach and sharing of information. 10A, review and update of the AC's communications plan. The following outcome is noted for each of these items. The Adaptation Committee agreed to continue working the intersessional period. It discussed the proposed timeline for the intersessional work and agreed to revisit it following the meeting of the Bureau and clarity about the SB sessions, timing and modalities. And this, of course, applies also to the previous agenda items that we discussed during the sessions. Observers, also for these agenda items, are invited to send comments to ac@unfccc.int by 17th of April. The following items are ongoing. Item 5, promoting overarching coherence. 5A, collaboration with other adaptation-related institutional arrangements under the Convention. 5C, mainstreaming agenda perspective into the work of the AC. Item 7, work of the Adaptation Committee working group on the technical examination process on adaptation. Item 9, technical support and guidance to the parties on means of implementation. 9A, engagement with the private sector. Item 10, awareness raising, outreach and sharing of information. 10B, adaptation forum. The following outcome is noted. The Adaptation Committee requested the Secretariat to continue its ongoing work as noted in the email updates distributed before the meeting. Item 11, update flexible work plan of the Adaptation Committee for 2019-2021. New items from COP25 and CMA2 have been reflected in the work plan contained in document AC/2020/13, prepared for the meeting and circulated in advance. Changes are procedural and have not been discussed by the AC. AC members are invited to report any potential oversight to the Secretariat within a week, and the Secretariat is requested to publish the revised flexible work plan on the web on Friday, the 3rd of April. Item 12, organization of intersessional work. The AC agreed on its members of working groups, leads and contributors of individual items, as well as members nominated as liaison with other constituted bodies. The list we discussed today will be circulated by the Secretariat so that a final check can be done by the AC member. The AC agreed on its timelines for intersessional work and to revisit them following clarity on the SB sessions. Item 13, dates for future meetings. Pending global developments in relation to COVID-19, the AC agreed on 25 to 28 of August 2020 as the anticipated dates for AC18. Any other matters? A raise of thanks to the Secretariat was brought forward by a member of the Adaptation Committee for setting up the meeting so swiftly. However, it was also noted that the next meeting of the AC should take place in person. And then we finally closed the meeting. Are there any comments that AC members would like to make at this stage?
Alessandra, may I suggest, please, to have everyone unmuting themselves? I think it's a great opportunity now for everyone to give a round of applause to everyone, to yourselves, because having this setting, and you have made out of this setting a great experience. And I think we are a fantastic example of how to adapt under certain circumstances. So please unmute yourselves and give a round of applause to your own selves. Thank you.
And of course, a round of applause for the Secretariat for enabling us to do that. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And the new co-chairs too.
Yes, and the new co-chairs too.
All right. At this, thank you for this. I think indeed we did quite well. Thank you all. Before moving on, I would like to give the floor to Youssef, the director of the adaptation program in the Secretariat, who would like to share a few thoughts with us. Please.
Thank you very much, co-chair. This is Youssef Nassef, director of the adaptation program. As of 1st of April, we're changing labels, so it will be the division, adaptation division. I'm at the same time officer in charge of the division for intergovernmental support and collective progress, so covering some ground here. But I would like to express some words of appreciation. First, to your appreciation to the Secretariat and for your commitment to devoting all the time to attend this meeting despite diverse time zones, despite this new modality where I can confess we were not very sure if it would work well, but I'm very happy to know that it did. I've been lurking in the background sometimes in Zoom, sometimes on YouTube. So I must say that the expectations have far surpassed what we were hoping for. So thank you very much, first for the able leadership of the new co-chairs and for all members, and of course to my colleagues who are quarantined or happen to sort of escape the quarantine. I see two in the picture there who are in our offices. These are extraordinary circumstances, and like Ronald said, the COVID-19 challenge is giving us a lot of chances to rethink our perception of a lot of things, including vulnerability, early action, rapid response, and what timescales mean when we are confronted with a crisis and having to deal with it in such a short time versus one that may have even more far-reaching consequences, but over a broader timeline, and hence there's a bit more laxity in dealing with it. So I'm hoping that the Adaptation Committee will itself be an engine for the world to understand these lessons even after the crisis ends. And I'm very hopeful with what I've seen here and the very positive discussions that this indeed will be the case. So again, a word of thanks and gratitude to you, and also congratulations for having surpassed all the challenges that the cultural, the technological, the time challenges in order to make this happen in this way. So thank you very much and congratulations on your outcomes.
Thank you. Thank you very much for these kind words, and of course for following us throughout the week. I think indeed it will be quite important that we keep the attention on resilience and adaptation, but also of course on mitigation as we move forward to tackling the COVID crisis. And I'm sure that governments around the world are now considering how this can be turned into an opportunity to really transform the way we do business towards sustainability. Let's see what the future reserves for us. At this point, I'd like to invite my co-chair, Cecilia, to share a few thoughts as well before closing the meeting. Cecilia, please.
Thank you very much, Alessandra. All the appreciation has been already demonstrated here, but it's important again for me to thank the Secretariat for arranging these conditions for us to move forward in our work. It is important as well to thank all observers that were participating in a very active way. Of course, thank to all members of the Adaptation Committee who made themselves available to attend the meeting and for their very active and participative participation. I would like us to please keep this active way of working during our intersessional period. Thank you all again for all the efforts put together. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. I am informed that one observer would like to take the floor. Lindsay?
I just, sorry, I've got the printer. I just wanted to say thank you. And I wanted to say how much I really appreciated, and I believe many of my observers might share this, how much effort the co-chairs made to ensure that there was time for observers to speak after discussions, and that was really appreciated. And I kept the Zoom on because I feel we are a community, and seeing everyone's face is really special. And I wanted to leave you with a quote that comes from the writer, from Ben Okri, on the pandemic, which said, "The questions raised by the pandemic should spill over into all the other issues through which future disasters might arise. Issues of climate change, surveillance, civil rights, universal health care, justice, and poverty. Humanity is transformed by those who took from tragedy the highest lessons." And with that, I want to thank you all for all the efforts you have made. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lindsay, on my behalf, and I'm sure also on the behalf of our other members. I'd also like to thank all the observers who've been with us and provided very, very helpful input into our discussion. I look forward to the further input. When we started and when I started on Tuesday, I did say that, you know, the AC is a model of openness and transparency and involving other actors. And I think this brings really a lot of value added. So thank you for that. From my side, I also want to just say that it's been a real pleasure to co-chair this unusual session with Cecilia. And thanks to all, and above all, of course, to the my co-chair and the other and the secretariat. I've enjoyed thoroughly the discussions, and I'm really looking forward to continue working with you. I hope we will be able to meet in person very soon. So thank you all once again. With that, I would like to close the 17th meeting of the Adaptation Committee. Everybody stay healthy and stay sane. See you soon.